I ran the Boston Marathon out of love. I believe that love is the basis of all meaningful human endeavor. Yet it was a love that was incomplete until it was shared with others. The thing that I remember was being out in the backyard under the chestnut tree, and there was such a sense of peace under that chestnut tree. I can remember the sun kind of filtering down between the leaves, and there was a sense of presence and love. Well, I always loved to run. I was always very active. And I think what happened was I just never stopped running. I was supposed to settle down and stop all this nonsense, but instead I just loved to run. And later we moved to Winchester, and we lived near some woods. And I spent my childhood running in the woods with the dogs. I just loved to go up in the woods, and I'd run for miles and walk and look at things and smell the earth and look at the bark and just sort of glorying in the beauty of the woods. In fact, I think that's why I ran. I'd see a field and it'd be shimmering in the sun and the wind would be blowing, and I'd just get this wonderful uprising sense of joy, and I'd tear across the field at full speed and leap into the air, and it was a way of celebrating life. I just felt so much love of life and so much joy that there was no other way of expressing it than just running as fast as I could. It was just almost an instinct. I didn't know about competitive running. There wasn't any long distance running for women when I grew up in the 50s and 60s. The situation was much different in the 50s and 60s than it is now. Hardly anyone ran. In fact, President Kennedy in the early 60s was begging the nation to please get out and exercise because everyone was in such bad physical shape. And so it was in 1963, November of 1963, November 22nd, when President Kennedy was assassinated. And at that time, we were very idealistic, and we had a vision of America and a vision of what we could be here in this country. And I think this burgeoning interest in physical activity may have stemmed from that. Well, I had never heard of the Boston Marathon until the father of a high school friend of mine said, well, since you like running so much, why don't you go out and see the marathon? I said, the marathon, what's that? He said, it's a 26-mile run, and I couldn't believe that people could actually run for 26 miles. But my father and I drove out to Wellesley, where the marathon went by, in 1964, and watched the marathon, and I just fell in love with it. I saw these people running, and they had such strength and such courage and dignity, and I felt as though they felt the same bond with nature and the same bond with themselves as human animals on the earth as I did. And so something said in me, it was as though I fell in love. I just fell in love with the race. It was a celebration of life. It celebrated the integrity and dignity of life. And these people felt the same way I felt, and I didn't think about it. It wasn't